This is video number 2 if you haven't already watched the first video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful YouTube family. I hope we're all doing fantastic. Happy Sunday. So it is Sunday the 5th of January, and today I am going to do a full day of eating because I know people love to see food, and I want to show you guys everything that I'm eating right now that I am a certain amount of weeks out from my bodybuilding show. I've just started my prep, right? I'm 3 weeks into my prep, but I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys everything that I'm having, how I set up my meals, why I eat the way that I eat as well. I don't want this video to just be, here's my food. I am going to talk a bit about my own kind of philosophy with nutrition, what I advise people to do, how I navigate my meals, so that you can hopefully take some inspiration for how to set up your own food, right? It's obviously January. A lot of people are probably starting diets right now, and hopefully this video will give you a little bit of an insight into ways that you can eat and ways that you can optimize your nutrition to make it easier to stick to your diet. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing you need to be able to do to actually make progress is be adherent, okay? And to stick to your diet. You can have the best diet in the world, but if you don't stick to it, it doesn't matter. You're never going to stay in a deficit and you're not going to make progress. So I've, over the years, created a way of eating for myself that makes it super easy for me to stick to a deficit, right? Like, I don't struggle at all. It's not to say that I don't feel hungry sometimes, but hunger is just part of dieting. But I really enjoy every single one of my meals. And yeah, I'm just excited to show you guys. Just a disclaimer, because I know people always complain about this sort of shit. I'm not saying if you eat all these foods you are going to look like me. Okay? I know you're not an idiot and I know you don't think that, but there's people who say stuff like that. It's like, bro, people aren't dumb. But, you know, you might, I'm going to run through my calories and macros now, and you might think that sounds like a lot, but you have to remember, I have been training for 10 years. I have a lot of muscle. I'm an assisted athlete, so I'm using other things to help me drive a deficit, you know, things like lipolytics, you know, like anabolics and stuff like that. So please don't compare what you're having compared to what I'm having. For reference, I'm about 5'6", and I currently, as of this morning, weigh 157.6 pounds, which is a new low. Yeah, buddy. And I've had a few changes to my protocol. So when I checked in with Christian on Friday after the Christmas period, he dropped my food again, so another 25 carb out, and we've also added in Anavar for the next 6 weeks. So I'll be running that, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't excited. Anyway, so before I get into my calories and macros and stuff, of course, please don't forget, if you like the YouTube, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, give me a comment, tell me what you want to see. It really does help me, and it helps my channel grow and reach more people and hopefully help more people, which is all that I want to do, and that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, okay? And to show you guys my processes and how I live as a bodybuilder. Anyway, so what are my calories and macros at the moment? So I'm going to do a training day right now. So on a training day, if my MyFitnessPal would like to load, I am hitting 175 grams of protein, 275 grams of carbs, and about 45 grams of fat. So the way my coach does this, I've mentioned this in a previous video, he does like macros per meal. So when I hit the macros per meal, this is kind of what my calories end up being, and then I just sort of hit that every day. The way I spread out my food is 5 meals each day, every meal centered around a protein source. Pretty much every meal either has fruit or veggies, and yeah, it's a lot of nutrient dense, minimally processed foods. I just wanted to double check the calories and macros. Calories then are coming in at about 2,200-ish on a training day. So I'm going to run you through how I set up my food and everything like that as we go. And I'm also going to give you a few little tips and tricks to help you with navigating your own nutrition. So the first thing is, I obviously do 5 meals. That's not going to suit everybody. I understand that, but I would rather do 4 to 5 proper meals. I don't snack. I never do. It's not something I do, and it's not something I advise that you do. And I'm going to be recording a whole video next week about how I make my fitness journey a little bit easier, and I've got loads of tips coming in that. But yeah, I don't snack, and I always get people ask me like, oh, what do you have for snacks? I don't. I just eat meals. I eat 5 meals a day, so I'm very satiated all of the time. And something that I definitely want to touch on in this video is why I don't really endorse true flexible dieting. You know, I technically follow a meal plan. I mean, I get calories and macros from my coach, but I eat the same thing every single day because It's just easier. And I think I used to be the person who was like super into IIFYM and try to fit in loads of shit, and I don't like doing that, and I'll talk about more about why I don't like doing that later on in the video. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this, hopefully you get some inspiration, and if you do enjoy it, I already said give me a like, give me a comment, I'm gonna say it again. But yeah, this morning's been pretty chill. I just woke up, I actually slept in quite a good bit. I slept till like 7, which is good, because I thought yesterday I was getting a little bit sick. I was feeling my throat a tiny bit. Now I feel okay today, so hopefully I'm gonna be fine. And I've just done my morning routine, done some client setups, bit of work here and there, and now we're gonna go on a walk out to the beach, which I'm buzzing for. It's so good to be back. I was on a walk yesterday in a shorts and a sports bra in January, and I was thinking, yeah, I love my life. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'll catch you at breakfast, which is also my pre-workout meal. Okay, so first meal of the day, which is also my pre-workout meal, is going to be egg whites with some grilled tomatoes, a bagel with peanut butter and jam, and a banana. So first thing I always recommend you do, this is like my #1 tip when it comes to sticking to your diet and tracking your calories: plan your food in advance. Do not try and just track during the day as you go. It's not going to work, and you're going to end up getting to the end of the day with random numbers to hit, or you're going to be you're going to be really hungry. So sit down the day before or the morning of and just plan in your meals according to what your schedule is going to be, you know, when you know you're hungry, when you're training and stuff like that. So again, this is stuff that I do without even thinking about it, because I just eat the same things every day. So I just have to copy and paste my MyFitnessPal. It's so fucking easy. So because this is my pre-workout meal, it's got a good amount of carbohydrates in it, because carbs are really important for energy for your training. Every meal I have has a protein source. So the way that I do it is I have like a lean, high quality protein source, like egg whites, chicken, whey protein, and I get 25 grams of protein from the protein source. So for egg whites, that's 230 grams of egg whites. So that's what I have, and I never change that. Whether my calories go up or down, my protein servings are always staying static. Just the amount of protein total in a day might go up or down based on trace proteins in other foods like carb sources and fat sources. I love bagels. I could be on 50 carbs a day. I'm gonna have bagel as my first meal because I just love it. Some people will say you shouldn't eat bread when you're dieting. What bullshit. There's nothing wrong with bagels. There's nothing wrong with bread. It's not the most satiating food, but like, you'll be fine. I find that they're filling enough. Maybe something like oats would be more filling, but when you've just started a diet, you shouldn't go straight into every single high volume food. You want to keep those as tools in your back pocket for when you get hungrier. So I will probably always have a bagel for breakfast unless I have a no carb breakfast. I like the jam, obviously peanut butter, good fat source, having about 10 grams of fat from peanut butter before my session. It's just going to slow down the release of energy throughout the session. And then I also have fruit. So I've got my carbs from like a starch, and then also carbs from fructose or a fruit. Just they're going to be taken up by different glucose transporters or carbohydrate transporters, so potentially fill you a little bit better. I always say with every meal you should have either veggie or fruit or both, because like eating nutrients is cool. So I'm gonna make this, and I eat it and then I go straight to the gym. It digests really well for me. So yeah, that is meal #1. I think that's everything that I wanted to say. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so first thing is you'll notice on all of my meals, I always do regular salt and then low salt or low sodium salt, which has higher potassium in it. Just really important for your training performance and proper hydration. So hydration isn't just drinking water, hydration is also your electrolyte balance. And most people salt their food, but then they don't think about potassium
So it's important for muscular contractions, training, nerve conduction, everything like that. So that goes on all of my meals. Don't be afraid to salt your food. I know some people who think you shouldn't salt your food. You need salt or you'll literally die. And then I'm just gonna do my bagel. So this is one of those things that I just assume everybody knows how to do, but everybody has to learn it in the first place. So whenever you're doing any sort of spread, you wanna put the thing on the scale and set it to 0 and then take it out in the negative. So I want 20 grams of peanut butter, so I'm gonna do minus 20. It's just one of those things that, again, I've been doing this for so fucking long that I assume everybody knows how to track and weigh their food. But like I said, we all have to start by learning somewhere, and maybe you are starting by learning here. Also, when I was home in Ireland, my mum found this, the pippin nut sweet and salty, which you can't get it here. Oh, it's so good. It's literally my favorite thing ever. So I brought home 2 massive tubs of it, which that should do me about 2 months. Also, this stuff on egg whites, oh my god, it's so good. If you're in the States, I can't believe it's not butter spray, it's the same thing. So good. Also, some general cooking tips, because I always get asked about cooking, which I always think everybody knows how to do it. So if you're doing eggs or egg whites, you want to start the pan super hot, put your eggs or egg whites on it, and then turn it down low, because if you keep it super hot, they're just going to fucking, I don't know, they'll be all crusty and hard. Nobody wants that. So low and slow. Same with the tomatoes. I start the pan super hot and then I bring it down, and it just makes them like a nice kind of, I don't know, like they're so good. They're so good. So there you go. Cooking tips with Emma. So supplement wise then, I don't do loads of crazy stuff. Intra-workout EAAs, these are the trained by JP EAAs. You want about 2.5 grams of leucine minimum per serving, so this is 10 grams, that gives me that. I also have my pre-workout, so I'm just doing like half a scoop of pre at the moment because I just don't need a full scoop. It literally makes me feel sick with all the other stimulants that I'm taking. And I also have creatine in here. So creatine, a lot of people will put it in their intra-workout. You don't want to do that because creatine is unstable in water. So if you leave it dissolved in water for like 2 hours, it's not going to be taken up as effectively. So I put it in this. I'm going to drink this in about 10 minutes. So that's fine. And then I also take omega-3s. I take them year round, really important for brain, heart function, health, just hormonal health as well. I also take NAC. So NAC is a liver support supplement, especially with now being on anabolics. That is really important. And I take Anavar, which is an oral, so it is harder on your liver. So I take that just to give me a little bit of a boost there. I'm just waiting on some Strom Support Max to come. That's like a bit more of a complete on-cycle support, but the NAC will do for now. And then I also have another special supplement that I take pre-workout, but I'm not going to show you that and talk about taking that because it's a PD. But that's it. So we're going to go and train now, and I'm not going to film the session. I want this to just be a full day of eating, so I don't want to take up too much time. So I will catch you when we're back from the gym and when we've got a big old hamstring and glute pump. I'm back from the gym. It's like after 2 o'clock. That session, well, it didn't take too long, but this is what happens when you have a power lifter that you go to the gym with. Their sessions take ages, so it's okay. I got loads of time to do posing, but I'm really hungry now. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is, today I woke up about 7 just because I slept that long, but normally during the week I wake up about just after 5, and I don't eat until 10 a.m. So technically I intermittent fast. Now, I don't really call it anything, like I just push out my first meal purely for the fact that my first few hours of the day are so productive with work. I don't want to disrupt it to stop and eat, and I'm not hungry. Like, I don't get hungry until about 10 o'clock. So for me, that's just what works. I'm not saying you have to do that. It suits my schedule and it suits how my days are set up, and I enjoy it. It helps me with my appetite, but
yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. I technically do fast. I couldn't wake up and eat straight away. I would feel completely ill. So, okay, post-workout, what are we doing? So, protein, we're doing whey isolate. I can't have dairy, but whey isolate is processed to remove a lot of the lactose, so I can digest that perfectly. Perform, you can get all your Perform on Alliance, and you can use my discount code Emma10. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. I do for my carbs, so we want something that's going to be like fast digesting, because we're in a quite an insulin sensitive state. We want to be able to take up those carbohydrates quite rapidly. So I do Cocoa Pops, and these are Chocopic. They're like I think they're called like Chocos in Ireland, and they're like Cocoa Pops. But anyway, either way, you probably know them. They're like the little shells. I love them. And then do the whey protein and almond milk because it's disgusting with water. I'm happy to spend the calories on some almond milk. And then a banana. Again, we've got our 2 different carb sources. We've got our fruit, which is going to go up through a different glucose transporter, and then we've got our normal carbs and our normal starch. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to chow down, and I'm going to enjoy it. So this is, again, one of my bigger carb meals. The rest of my meals are smaller in terms of carbs. So if you are limited on carbs, I always say in a diet, put the majority of them pre and post workout, because that's when they're going to be helping your training the most. All right?
Okay, it is time for meal number 3. So it's about 4 p.m. This is usually when I have this meal. So I think this is something really worth talking about is snacking, because a question I get a lot is, you know, what do I do about snacking? I always get really hungry in the afternoon, and I always say the same thing. Have a fucking meal. Instead of having 400 calories worth of shitty snacks, have a good solid meal instead. Something that has protein, something that has fruit, something that has veggies. You will actually feel satiated from it. You won't be hungry. Like if you have like a snack bar, you're going to be hungry 10 minutes later. Those sorts of foods are obviously going to drive up that hedonic signaling that makes you want to keep eating. So you'd be better off having something high in nutrients, high in protein that, like I said, is going to satisfy you. So I am having chicken, which is in the air fryer, 110 grams. Then I'm just doing some pepper, cabbage, broccoli. I'm going to do, I think, 70 grams of pineapple. I have to check that. I'm going to stir fry it up, have a little bit of G. Hughes sugar-free teriyaki. I'm going to do almond butter on the chicken, and then some kimchi. Kimchi is great for good health. We love her. So I'm going to cook that up now. And yeah, like I think one thing that I do, which I only realized recently that I do, it's kind of a little rule I have for myself. I don't eat meals, like I don't eat food unless I'm eating it from a plate or from a bowl. And that's a really good way to stop yourself from snacking. Like there's nothing wrong with having rules around food. A lot of coaches and content creators will claim that you should have no rules around food and no restriction, and I think that's fucking bullshit. Having rules just acts as a mental constraint for yourself to prevent you from doing things that go against your goals. And oftentimes the biggest issue people have with nutrition is they just snack loads and they can't stick to their fucking diet. So I don't eat unless it's from a plate or bowl, which means I'm forced to eat just proper meals, which means I'm going to actually be satisfied after them. So that's a good little tip that can help a lot of people, and it's one that if you struggle with snacking, I highly recommend that you try. So yeah, I'm gonna cook this up and I'm gonna eat it, and I'll show you when it's done. And there we have meal number 2. So like I said, chicken, almond butter, pineapple. Pineapple wouldn't be the most like satiating fruit. It's high enough in carbohydrates, but like I'm not hungry enough, and I don't want to just go straight into having like berries and everything that's super filling just yet because my appetite isn't there. Kimchi and some of the sugar-free teriyaki. So just to touch on what I track and what I don't track, because you'll probably notice I'm going to put up screenshots of everything that I've tracked. There's a few things that I don't track because I just keep it consistent. So sugar-free sauces, as long as the calories are really low. So for example, the G. Hughes, it's 5 calories per 15 grams, and that's all I used. Like I'm going to use that every day. Same with the barbecue sauce I use later. I'm going to use that every day. I'm never going to change it regardless of what I'm having. So I like to say, you know, keep the inconsistencies consistent. So even things like Monsters, I don't track those. I don't track Pepsi Maxes. because when my food gets changed, that's not where I'm going to pull calories from. I pull it from like the direct food sources. I also don't track veggies, and I have like an allotted amount of veggies per day. So I'll weigh my vegetables, and I believe it's 450 grams a day, so 150 grams at 3 meals, and I will keep that consistent too. I don't think you need to track veggies as long as you're not taking the piss with it and having way too much. And the reason that I don't advise clients to track veggies is I don't want them to sacrifice vegetables for having other like direct carb sources. Because I used to do that. I'd be like, oh, well, I want more potatoes, so I just won't have vegetables. No, like no one's getting fat from eating too much broccoli, okay? Like don't restrict your vegetables just because you don't want to spend the calories on them. Like I would encourage you to have more vegetables because it's going to be more satiating and more nutrient dense. So I would say if you're in a prep, just weigh them and keep them consistent, because what a lot of people do is start having more and more and more veggies as they get more and more hungry, right? So they start the prep, they're having 300 a day, then it's 600, then it's a kilo, then it's 1.5 kilos. That is going to be a calorie difference and also a big fiber difference, which isn't going to be great for your digestion. It's going to mess with your scale weight and stuff like that. You know, you might not go to the bathroom, you have more fiber in your system. So I would say keep it consistent. If you're not going to track it, just make sure you're keeping it super consistent. Same with my sauces. I weigh them. Like I'm not just ad libitum using sugar-free sauce, because then it could change day to day, but it's always going to be the same. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on some of those things because you might notice that. Like even the kimchi, I don't track that because I have that every day, and it's good for you, right? So I don't think there's a point in limiting those. So yeah, I'm gonna eat this and get back to editing this video.
Alrighty, it is just coming up to 6 p.m. I'm just off a call with one of my wonderful clients who says she wants to compete in the next year or two. So we were just having a big old chat about that because, you know, I love talking about all that sort of stuff. It's nice to just talk about it with clients. I've loads of clients now who are going to be competing in 2026 and 2027 and beyond. Buzzing. But I'm just going to make my dinner in a couple of minutes, and I wanted to just sit down and talk a little bit about flexible dieting and planning your nutrition, and why I don't think flexible dieting and IIFYM is the best thing that you can do if you want to be able to stick to your diet in the long run. So if it fits your macros is essentially this concept that it doesn't matter what foods you eat, as long as you're hitting certain calorie numbers, you will lose fat. This is true, okay? I will caveat that as long as you are hitting your protein, okay? If you're hitting your protein, a gram per pound of body weight, and then hitting a calorie deficit, you will lose fat, okay? However, how you feel and how easy it is to stick to your diet is going to be very different depending on the food sources that you eat. So you could eat 1800 calories, and that could be 1800 calories that's made up of bread, Pop-Tarts, you know, like sweets, processed foods, very highly palatable foods. And what's going to happen if you eat that way? You're going to be really hungry. You're going to be really food focused because those sorts of foods drive up hunger and cravings, okay? You have to understand this about processed foods. They are designed by scientists to make you want to keep eating them so that you buy them, okay? They hijack pathways in your brain to make you want to continue consuming them. Okay, if you eat foods that are very minimally processed and nutrient dense and just single ingredient foods, you won't get that same response. So if you ate 1800 calories of fruits, veggies, potatoes, oats, lean proteins, you're going to feel so different versus eating the 1800 calories of super processed foods. I used to be super into, you know, I'd have the halo top with Nutella, I'd have zero noodles, I'd have things like very sweet foods, and all that would happen is I would want to keep eating them, right? I'd finish the meal and be like, I just want to keep eating that. Whereas now you'll have seen a lot of my foods are, you know, veggies, lean protein. I'm not saying it's all boring, you know, okay, yeah, I have the Cocoa Pops, I have a bagel, but the majority of my food is that very nutrient dense food. And because I basically follow a meal plan, one, it eliminates decision fatigue. I don't wake up in the morning thinking, what am I going to eat today? I wake up in the morning and I have it there planned out and ready to go, right? We have a limited capacity to make good decisions in a day. And if you are spending a lot of that capacity on making food decisions every day, by the time you get to the end of the day, you're going to make shitty decisions. You're going to go for the takeaway, the easy option, the very tasty food versus the food that's going to be satisfying and keep you within your calories. Like I said, your cravings are going to go up. Your energy levels won't be as good if you're not eating enough fruits, vegetables. Like you should be eating loads of fruits and veggies, okay? It's hot. eat more fruit and veg. You're going to have more micronutrients, more vitamins, more minerals. Your body will thank you. Your gut health, that's super important too, okay? If you have bad gut health and bad digestion, your energy levels will be low, you'll have brain fog, you're not going to uptake your nutrients properly. So you want to be promoting good health by eating, again, high fiber foods, minimally processed foods, foods that are good for your gut microbiome. So while I do agree in flexibility to a degree, I think it makes sense to swap food sources, right? Swap chicken for beef, swap potatoes for rice, swap broccoli for peppers. Those things, yes, I agree with that. And that's where I think your flexibility should come from. But in my brain, flexibility does not mean eating shit just because you can fit it within your calories, right? Yeah, I could fit in 300 calories of chocolate a day into my diet, but it's not going to fill me. And I'm going to want to eat more of it. Whereas if I have that same 300 calories from a bowl of fruit and veg and some protein, I'm not going to want to keep eating it and I'm going to feel super satisfied afterwards. So, you know, when it comes to setting up your diet, especially, I think there's so much merit in keeping, say, your breakfast and your lunch and maybe your third meal the same, and then maybe switching up your dinner if you do want to have a little bit of flexibility. But I truly think just eating similar foods every day, it makes life so much easier. Eating at the same times every day makes life so much easier because your ghrelin release is going to get trained in response to that. That's your hunger hormone. You're going to get hungry right before your meals. That's good for you, okay? So flexible dieting, I get it, and don't get me wrong, my clients track macros, I track macros, but you can track macros in a structured way that is going to make it easier for you to adhere to your diet. And remember what I said at the start of the video. The number one thing that matters for long-term progress is consistency and adherence. If you can't stick to your diet because you're always snacking, because you're always craving foods, because you're always eating chocolate and crisps and stuff like that, you're not going to see the progress that you want to see. So the 80-20 rule is really the main thing here, right? 80% nutrient dense whole foods, 10 to 20% soul foods. I think that's a good way to set it up. So I hope that's been a little bit helpful just when it comes to actually setting up your diet. And something that I didn't say there, but this is really important. It doesn't matter what your goal is. Whether you're trying to lose fat or build muscle or maintain your weight, you should always eat for health first. Health first means you prioritize vitamins, minerals, fibers, lean protein, good quality fats, all that stuff. And then you look at the calorie amounts, okay? So yeah, I hope that's been a little bit of a helpful explanation. And now let's go and make my dinner. For dinner, we are doing one of my favorite lazy, easy meals for when you're in a deficit. So, potatoes. I don't just love these because Irish blood runs through my veins. Potatoes are actually one of the most satiating foods on the satiety index. So they've done studies of like foods that make people feel full, and boiled potatoes, steamed potatoes comes up as number one, and they're just so easy to make. So you'll see there what I do is I basically stab them with a fork. This is to stop them from exploding, and I put them in the microwave for 12 minutes. That's for 300 grams of potatoes. That's plenty of time, and it's just the easiest way to cook them. Sometimes I'll do them in the air fryer, but I like them like that, and then I just salt them, put some Jihu sauce on them. Easy. I'm doing green beans and peas, and then I have my steak. So when you're cooking steak, take the steak out of the fridge at least 20-30 minutes before, so that it comes to room temperature. It just cooks a little bit better. So I'm going to cook this up and I will show you the finished product. Like I said, I'm having some Jihu's barbecue sauce on it, which is chef's kiss. I spent so much money on IIFYM on the Jihu's barbecue and teriyaki sauce, and I have no regrets. I'm in prep. I'm not spending my money on any other food. I'm going to treat myself. And dinner is served. Quick, simple, tasty, filling. It ticks all the boxes. Can of Pepsi Max always. I have can of Pepsi Max with dinner. Doesn't matter if I'm deep in off season. I love it. So yeah, gonna chow down on this, and then we just have one more meal left. All right, it is time for the final meal of the day, which is always yogurt. So I'm just doing 250 grams of Faye. Again, I don't find that this affects me like digestive wise, because it's obviously quite processed to take out a lot of the lactose, so it's all fine with me. You have to have flavor drops with your Greek yogurt. It's an absolute must. These fucking Honestly, why do my protein make the bottles like this?
Yeah, the droppers are so much better.
Literally, it's so fucking annoying. Anyway, so I've got vanilla and I've also got some white chocolate flavour drops just to make it sweeter, because Greek yogurt by itself tastes disgusting. You can also mix protein powder in it to give it a bit of a different taste. And then I'm doing 50 grams of strawberries. Look at the size of these strawberries. It's like as big as my head. My head's big. Sometimes I do frozen raspberries, but tonight we're doing strawberries. I have loads and I don't want to go off. And of course we are going to finish it off with 20 grams of sweet and salty nut butter. I'll through this tub of butter, not butter like fucking nobody's business.
Yeah.
So quickly.
Pretty quick. Is that the one you spilled all over hotel room?
No, that was a plain one.
Did it leave that?
No, I got it. As if I was, it got me a little bit of it spilled.
Really?
Yeah. And there we have it. That is our final meal. I love this. I used to be anti-Greek yogurt and I don't know why, because it's the best. So that's my full day of eating. Hopefully you guys have gotten some meal inspiration. You've learned a thing or two about how to set up your nutrition properly so you can actually stick to your diet and actually make some fucking progress. Once again, disclaimer, if you eat these foods, you're not going to lose weight or look like me. Sorry. But please don't forget to give the video a like, a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And I will catch you in the next one.